Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Enjoy Life. So, the toy drive is now live. We didn't talk about that off camera, but we are doing a toy drive. This is our second year doing it. Last year, for you guys who don't know, our goal was $2,000, and we ended up raising $2,500.
What?
Yes, and we bought presents and we delivered them to kids at a local elementary school. And this year we are doubling down. We have our goal at 5,000 because we're trying to help more kids. And I think the last time I checked, we're at 750, and we had literally announced it yesterday. So we're already 15% at our goal.
Come on, man.
So we're trying to get there. We got till December 15th. So y'all please go donate. No matter how much it is, it means a lot. It's going to a good cause. So please go donate. But without further ado, my guest here today, do it all a lot. I don't know, I usually say their profession, but you got a lot under your belt. For one, I think you're going to be my first guest who has written more than a book or more than one book. So I'm excited about that. Preacher, does it really all. I don't know. I'm going to let you say whatever the classification is, but my guest here today, Mr. Aaron.
Man.
Thank you so much.
For sure, man. It's a pleasure.
First off, I just want to say thank you. I enjoyed the conversation we had off camera before. We got to catch up and kind of touch base and find out that we had kind of a lot of stuff in common. So I'm excited for this episode. But just to start off, man, how's everything been lately?
Man, it's been exciting. We are, like you mentioned about counseling, my wife and I are running Refresh Group here in Thibodeau, and we're just constantly looking at how can we add more value to people, how can we add more people to the team, get our current team, growing in their calling and stuff. So we've been really focused about it, and it's like a baby, it's like it takes your heart, and it's exciting and it's messy and you don't know what you're doing, but you figure it out. And so we've been really doubled down on that. So it's been a busy season in that regard, but in a fun kind of way. Like we're excited about the busyness.
Yeah. And so can you kind of tell me about what y'all do in that space?
Yeah, absolutely, man. She's my wife, a marriage and family therapist. She's been doing that for like 12 years. And while we were doing that, we were pastoring. I was also like just working with people individually as a pastor while she was seeing couples and working with individuals in the mental health field. Well, as I transitioned out of pastoring, I was also teaching in the public schools. I started traveling and working in different churches and helping work with pastors and consulting with them on the weekends. We go travel and preach as close to right here as Thibodeau. I think my record was 3 miles from my house, and then into the communist countries, West Coast. We're going all over the place, man. And just working with people in a counseling type of context. So my wife ended up getting out of the company she was at and transitioned into coaching because of a non-compete. Well, since she was coaching, I could go in the sessions with her. So she had this couple coming in one day, and she was like, I don't know what to do with them. I'm not really sure. And I was like, baby, you got this. She says, no, I think you should join me. I was like, what? Join you? She's like, yeah, just come in the session with me. And so I literally joined her in a session, and we coached this couple, and I fell in love with it. And then over time, I started working with couples, and then seeing any individual that wanted some life coaching. And as that was unfolding, I started finding a niche and really honed in this specific niche that was tied to my pain from my past that just developed. And I've been doing this for 3 years, working with people, and I love what I do. Yeah, absolutely love it. The ironic thing is, when I was pastoring, I used to say the one thing I don't want to do is work one-on-one with people. That's the one thing I don't like doing in pastoral ministry, and ended up loving it.
Here we are,
Yeah, so that's how that came about, man. And didn't you say you do counseling? You're in?
Yes, so I'm in my second year of clinical mental health program. So right now it's still mostly classes. I haven't gotten to that point in the program where I've had to go to a site to kind of do counseling services, so I really haven't gotten my feet that wet, but it's exciting. I'm really excited. I've been knowing since I've been 16 that I was going to be a counselor, so I've been waiting for this. And like we said, when I talk to people who do it, I'm like, I'll be there soon. I'll be there soon, because I'm excited. It's just a great profession. I feel like everyone should go to counseling.
Me too. I go.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stigma behind it too, especially for guys. You know, people don't feel like guys should have feelings or should feel a certain way, and truth is we're all human, you know, and everyone, you can't just leave that inside and repress it, you know.
For sure.
You gotta acknowledge it, and through acknowledging it and recognizing what it is, you can get better.
Absolutely,
sure.
absolutely, man.
But yeah, just now that you kind of shared about that, how about we backtrack a little bit and kind of tell us how you got to this journey?
So, from the beginning, you want the...
We can go from the beginning,
all right,
if that's okay with you.
So when I was coming up, my dad was, he was on crack, he was on alcohol, and my mom and him stayed together for 7 years. I used to see him beat my mom, and I would go in the room crying. I would cuddle up in the fetal position. Like, I'm like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. I'm going to wrap that around in the story later on when I tie it into jiu-jitsu and like how that plays in. It's like wild, right? But so they divorced when I was 7, and my mom then had, you know, she ended up getting remarried. She had several different husbands as I was growing up. I ended up going to 9 different schools before I was in 9th grade.
Oh, wow.
And didn't have great relationships with the stepdads and things like that. Now, she did raise me in church, and I knew about the things of God. And when I was, I always get the time frame mixed up, 12, 13, 14, I think I was 14 years old. Someone had come into the house in the middle of the night, broke in through a window, had a knife, put it up to my mom's throat and raped my mom. He was in the house for 37 minutes. And I remember running to my grandmother's room and just laying on the floor frozen. I was just solid frozen. I was terrified. And so after that event, I said, if there is a God, cool, but if he lets this kind of stuff happen to women, he ain't a God I want to serve. So that's where I really just went wild.
Broke off. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was done. I wilded out at that point. I started getting on drugs. I was running the streets. Through that 4-year period, I went in and out of rehab, in and out of a mental institution. I was in Baby Ashland, which is, if you're not from our area, it's a little juvenile detention center in our local community. And I was 17 and ended up going to a Spanish class and had this teacher that just was amazing. He like was hard on me, but he really started like holding me accountable and believing in me. I was like this ain't me. And he used to tell me like, Mr. Daigle, you know, call me by my last name, Mr. Daigle, you're the type of student that needs to go to college. I'm like, I'm the type of student every other teacher said would be dead or in prison by the time he was 18. But he just really spoke life into me. While I got interested in Spanish, I'm learning the language. Well, I found out there was a Spanish church in Houma. I did not go for God. I went because they had Spanish girls and Spanish music. So I'm like, I'm going to just go, right? So in the process, though, it's like God zapped me.
Yeah.
And he got me. You know, he lured me and he tricked me.
All it took was that
the idea, but there wasn't even a chick in the church that I liked when I went. But the pastor invested in me. And so I was sitting in my room one day and I said, you know, I want to be a pastor and I want to be a teacher and to change people's lives just like these 2 men changed mine. And that was the moment where I quit using drugs. I was done. It was on 420. I hit a Black and Mild, sipped some Henny, hit me a blunt, and I just blew it all out at 4:19 p.m. on 420. And I was like, I'm done. And I had tried to quit dope for years. I was on probation. I was getting, drug screened and at threat of going back to jail. But I just kept failing the drug screens because there was no reason for me to quit. But when I got thrown into this purpose, I was like, okay, now I'm going to quit for this because this is better. Yeah. And I termed that purpose-driven sobriety. I never heard of that, and I made it up. Yeah. But it's like if you get a purpose that will drive you through the pain towards sobriety, you'll get off dope. And that's how that happened for me. So I ended up getting involved in the church. I ended up going to school, and I was pursuing ministry. I want to be in the things of God, and I want to teach in the high schools, and that's what I went after. I chased it with everything, and that's exactly what I did. I started at 17, I was helping lead services. By 18, I was preaching. I was in a small church, so there was ample opportunity. Yeah. And so I grew in that, and then when I graduated college, I went to Nichols here. I got 2 degrees and started teaching without education degree. It was just an English degree, and right, just right.
That's all you need, though.
Hey, you just need a degree. Nowadays, they'll probably take anybody. But, so I started doing that, and I'm pastoring, and in my heart, I always knew I was called to travel. But I thought, because the way I think is how it's always going to go, right? I thought that I would stay in that church, and I would travel out of that church. Well, just a tremendous amount of things happened, and just a lot of issues and pain and struggles that ended up where this whole place that I was at this church, there was a senior pastor that was over us at the time, and just things went sour. It was terrible. I felt like God was never going to give me a ministry now. I had no opportunity. And it was like, I didn't realize this, but God was the one who was showing me man doesn't determine your future. I do. And so doors started opening. I started traveling, and I'm ministering. I'm going to different states. I'm going to different cities, preaching. And while this is happening, I'm starting to feel like I need to get out of teaching. And I'm like, well, what I'm going to do Monday through Friday, so that's how the books came in. I was like, oh man, okay, if I'm here Monday through Friday, but I'm just traveling out preaching, then let me double down on some books. So I started writing, and that eventually turned into the YouTube channel and started putting out the videos. And while that was happening, my wife, like I mentioned a little earlier, she had been doing therapy, and then she ends up getting out, wanting to do her own thing, and she's like, you should come with me. And I'm like, okay, right? And then so we start doing this, and we open up the company Refresh Group, and again, I'm starting to work with couples, starting to feel my way around, but then every now and then I would get sessions where it would be maybe just me and the wife would have a couple sessions, and me and the husband would have a couple sessions. We'd split them. And I started seeing a lot of success working with the women. And what was interesting was my wife actually really did well with the guys. She loved working with the guys. She felt like she could just connect with them. She could understand them. And I kind of made a running joke. I'm like, how do you sit and talk to somebody for an hour when it's like, how you feel? And you're like, I'm good. It's kind of hard.
You need more. Exactly. You gotta, the way I learned, you gotta word it to where you get more than a good.
And she knows how to word it. I don't. But then I started realizing.
Those open, close-ended questions.
Exactly, right? So if you look at my story, though, my dad was on dope. He was abusive. I didn't have a good relationship with my stepdads. And this is going to be kind of strange to say out loud, but when I was in high school, my neighbor was a woman in her 40s. Her neighbor was a woman in her 60s, and her neighbor was a woman in her 30s. I would leave high school, go over there, and smoke weed with these three women. And I did this for years. These are my three friends in high school. And so, my mom being raped. There's another scenario, one particular thing. I briefed over this stuff like, I was in the streets doing drugs. But when I was young, my dad had a dope dealer come over to buy some crack. This was after my parents had split, and I was visiting him for the weekend. So he had his girlfriend there. Well, when the deal's going down, it ends up being that they don't have enough money to pay for the crack. So the dope dealer takes my dad's girlfriend, shoves her into the bathroom, and she starts screaming for my dad. Well, my dad and two other dudes that had come with the dope dealer are just sitting around a table just chit-chatting. And I mean, it's obvious what's happening. He's raping her in the bathroom, and I'm like, is this what men do? Like, you just sit around while a woman's getting raped? So I have this accumulation of life events. My mom being raped, this other woman being raped. Like, rape's something you hear about on, 2020. And in my case, I've been under the same roof in two different experiences where a woman was raped. And so you put all these things together. I have a deep compassion for hurting women, and women who are hurt by men, and who are being cheated on, and who are just disillusioned, and or just, they can't make their way through just the fog, right? And so I get somebody like that, and I just love walking her through that. And so that became this thing where I just love what I do, and it becomes fulfilling. And that's how I ended up finding my niche.
And very empathetic towards them.
Yes.
And that's awesome. I love that. And I feel like it's kind of weird. It goes back to what you said about you really match well with the women, and your wife matches well with the guys. It's more of like, once you're kind of sharing with the opposite sex, they feel almost a little bit more comfortable in a way.
Perhaps, yeah.
It just really depends on the person, but more or less in couples you'll find that.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. And I also like how you've seen these situations in life. I always believe this. You see bad things happen, and it's two ways you can take. You could either see that and I guess think that is the norm and let that be your norm, or you can go the other way and say, I never want to be that type of person, and that is so wrong, and I don't agree with that. And seeing this in real time and space will allow me to never ever be that person. And so I think that's great how you've turned that experience into helping other people and being compassionate towards them. I think that's great.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying is like this idea of I don't know what I'm gonna be, but I'm never gonna be that. You don't really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, and most people say the opposite. You actually the first guy I talk with who says the same thing. I see that as, then what is your target? You're chasing nothing.
Right.
I just don't want to be that, but then you have no aim. You don't know what you're moving towards. Like if you don't know what you're shooting at, how are you gonna hit it? You know, kind of deal. So I'm with you on that. I've never heard anybody else say that.
Really?
So, yeah.
I apply that in a lot of ways. So I'll give a prime example. So my parents, they divorced when I was 3.
Okay.
And when I was young, I'd always kind of have this idea. I'm like, I never could really understand like why, and just kind of like seeing like as a kid like those things. And I always used to say like, you know, someone might not be here for me, but I am not like gonna see this as, you know, this is how you're supposed to do this. Like, you know, if y'all have a falling out, then you just leave and bye. Turn this way, I'm gonna be the most loving, most anything I could be there. I'm gonna be the best parent, and most of all, like anytime there's a problem or something, instead of just let's sit down and talk about this.
Yeah.
You know, let's find out what's wrong, and let's build from that, because that's what relationships are. Just in general, you're trying to. There's going to be ups and downs, but you know, they're meant to be worked out.
Absolutely.
That's just kind of my stance on it. That's where I got the analogy of going one way or the other way.
For sure. Now, I've never seen it work out long term when you don't address the hard issues and have the conversations. You know, you mentioned relationships. You know, I don't know how she's going to react, so I wall up, I just shut down. You know, so I'm scared of his reaction, so I don't say nothing. That's going to work this week. That ain't going to work this decade.
Exactly.
That's a terrible long-term strategy. I've had some clients, I said, you know what, your homework assignment is just start telling the truth. Just say what you feel. You know, and it's kind of messy at first, but that's a lot better than saying nothing.
Yeah, you can't repress it. You can't repress it. You gotta acknowledge it. The only way to actually be able to get past it, or not even get past it, because you know sometimes some things are always gonna be there. But when those things happen and you acknowledge it, you can find better ways to handle it or cope with it. If that makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah. And so I guess moving on. What would you say are some things that you have planned for the future?
Well, I've never made a plan that I was like, this is how this is going to be, and then it actually worked out that way. I think I spent a lot of time in my 20s fretting over what it's going to look like and what my goal is, and how life is going to pan out. And whatever it is, it's going to take longer than you think. It's going to be harder than you think. It'll probably, though, be way more worth it and better than what you think.
Yeah.
But I've learned to really just trust God as I'm walking. There's a Bible verse that says, like, when you move to the left or to the right, there's a voice behind you when you walk to say, go to the left, go to the right. I feel like as long as I'm doing today what I know is the right thing for me to do, and I string those days together this week, I'm going to have a good week. If I do that 52 weeks this year, I'm going to have just a banger type of year. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a great year.
And if I just do that for a few years in a row, add that up to 10, I'm gonna have a great decade. And it only takes a few decades to live an excellent life. So I don't know. I know that what I'm doing now is where I'm supposed to be. I feel fulfilled when I do videos. I love my hobby, just working out, going to my gym. I totally dig spending time with my wife. When I get to work with clients one-on-one, it feels right. And so I'm living, not fretting about what my life is supposed to be like in some future distant place.
I like that. I like how your mindset is. That the way I always compare it to, I love my analogies, is, you know, you're just kind of driving in a car, and I feel like God just kind of has us on our own pace. And, you know, if there's ever time where we need to speed up or slow down or maybe get off, that, you know, we're just kind of have that intuition that we're just going to know He's going to send that sign.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. You always know. If you're sincerely seeking to do God's will, He's not going to let you steer off course. Yeah. This goes back to what degree should I get? Is it this degree? Is it that one? Is this the right one for me? Should I stay with her? Should I not? And I remember, the dating question, for example. When I look back on those times where, should I do this? Is it yes? Should I stay? That's me saying yes and God saying no. That uneasiness was me knowing that I'm not on the right track. And I've learned to know when I'm doing the right thing and when I'm not. I feel off. I feel wasteful. I feel like just something off.
You know when something's not right.
Yes, and I know when it's right.
Sometimes when it's like, oh, I want to do this, but you're like, you just get that inner feeling like, no.
Yeah.
And you know it too, like, you know it, but yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. And just like for the viewers, can you tell me like the impact that God has had on your life? Because I feel like a lot of people could benefit from hearing that.
So directly, God is everything to me. He's been my like safety. He's been, like I said, like I mean, he gave me a purpose. And I could go into these things about what He's done directly, just this relationship with God, the times that I have just been blessed by Him, things like that. But I want to take a different approach to that question. There's so many indirect things from God that I think we live our lives and don't realize it's from God that has made all the difference. So, for example, I was about November of 2010, I think it was, 2011, and I felt like I'm gonna meet my wife soon. And I went on my Facebook, I deleted some girls I was interested in or girls I had talked to in the past, and deleted a couple numbers, and then I got this journal, and I started writing to my future wife. Anytime I wanted to flirt with this chick, I'd just be like, yo, baby, like, you look so good today, even though I don't know what you looking like, but I know you looking fresh, girl, like, you know, that kind of thing. Well, then 2 months later, I was going to preach in California, and my roommate says, hey, dog, that dude you going to preach for, he's got a daughter, I know her. And I'm like, show me her picture, tell me about her. He starts telling me about her, he shows me her Facebook, I look, and I said, dog, that's my wife. He's like, dog, you crazy.
You like, coming with that energy, he's going to be like, what?
Well, I ain't tell her.
Yeah.
I did not tell her. No, don't be El Creepo. Okay. But so sure enough, man, he's like, hey, I want you to meet my friend. He's going to preach for your dad. And man, I met her, and I was like low key, like just cool and just talking.
Yeah, you're trying to be nonchalant.
Yeah, like oh, it's nice to meet you. I never heard of you before. Nice to meet you. Not like I've been stalking you on Facebook. Well, the day that he had actually showed me when I first told him, I was like, dog, that's my wife. I actually went back to my room and opened the journal and wrote to her by name. And I was like, Cecilia, our friend Tim just told me about you. You know, I'm going to be meeting you in a couple of weeks. Like, we're going to have a great life together, like that kind of thing. And again, I like low key like played it off when I met her. But I'm saying this, man, I saw her picture and I knew that was a God moment.
Yeah.
That was, you know, and I'm not saying it works like that for everyone. I don't want somebody hearing this and expecting the same experience, you know, but who I married was the second most impactful decision of my life. And it was totally God ordained. Mm-hmm. Totally. That's one example. Another one that is huge, absolutely monumental, bro. Actually, Hold up. What about you before I ain't gonna forget. How has God impacted you? And I'm gonna come back with the second story after.
In every way. Like I said, when I had gotten in the accident, we go to Catholics. We went to E.D. White, so it's always been there. But for so long, I was just so mad at the world. Always, why me? Well, why does this happen to me? Why does God do this type of thing to me? What did I do wrong? And then at some point, I just kind of got tired of being angry. And I was like, you know what? I just kind of turned it into a different perspective. I don't know. It wasn't like a certain day. I can't call out a date that it happened, but I just slowly started to come to the realization, like, one, I could be dead. Two, just because I couldn't, do things like drive or anything, doesn't mean the world is just like my life is over. The world's still spinning. And then I guess from there, the relationship just started to grow and grow. Like throughout college, it still stuck strong. He's played such an impact in my life. Like, my mom always says she's big into it too. Like, she goes to chapel every week. She just says I'm the luckiest guy. You? Yeah, like things just work out for me. I guess I don't want to say luck, because it's not luck, but like I just believe like so much that God has got me that like the rest is gonna fall into place. Like I don't know if this is really an example, but when I first started the podcast, I always used to worry about having guests later on. So you think about, oh, Thibodeau's small, like, I'm going to interview some people and then I'm going to run out.
And 5 episodes.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like God has told me to do this and it's going to work out. I don't know how it's going to fall into place. And here we are, episode 66. 66. Yeah, 66. Cool. And like, I don't know, it means everything, because it really does. I say my prayers at night, in the morning, when I wake up. Even though in the morning I'm a little hazy when I wake up, but I say it, it wakes me up. And I don't know, like, it's weird to explain, but he's impacted my life so much. Like, I couldn't imagine life without a relationship with God, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and I wouldn't want to.
And I always, the way I look at it, I always think I could do better. Like, I'm always kind of hard on myself in that sense. Like, I'm always like, oh, I could have done this better, like, could have done that. And so I always try and, at least do a little bit step and try and get better, day by day.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how to frame my life outside of God. Like, there is nothing there, So I understand that. The Bible says that the steps of a righteous man are ordered of the Lord, and like that's the idea that I'm sitting with right now as we're talking about this. Is like, how did God impact my life? Like, He ordered me into that direction of meeting my wife. The second concept I was going to mention a little while ago. I always wanted to do martial arts since I was in diapers. Like, so I came up on the Bruce Lee movies, Bloodsport, Kickboxer, and then, and I was a little skinny kid, my dad was abusive. I was in some ghetto areys, and I would
just... So you want to learn how to
not get beat up all the time, and I did. I got beat up a lot, I had my head busted with brass knuckles. I got cornered in the bathroom at school, and like, okay. So my mom put me in Shotokan karate when I was in like 3rd grade or something for a month. And bruh, I was so confident. I went back to school and I started telling people like, ain't nobody gonna bully me no more. I said, I know White Crane Kung Fu. I told them boys. And so my mom got scared and she pulled me out. And my dad, he used to fight a lot, and he was into boxing, and he would have me do some little boxing drills around the house. I used to think he was teaching me boxing. He told me to go outside, run to the corner, do a little shadow boxing, run to the next corner, do some jump rope, run to the next corner. When I was an adult, I look back, I was like, boy, that's a brilliant way to get you, little boy, outside and get you about your head for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I was like, my dad teaching me boxing, right?
What kind of boxing is this?
But man, it never worked out, dude. I got into like my 20s, and I went try a couple of gyms in Houma. It just didn't feel right. And I was like, why can't I learn martial arts? How come it's so hard? And then I'm skipping a lot of the story, but I was 32 years old, and I was about a year or two like really looking into Krav Maga, and I really want to do Krav Maga, and there ain't no gym around here, right? And so about a month before my birthday, I just was like sitting in the bathtub, and I was like, I heard about jiu-jitsu, but like I don't think that's like good.
Yeah.
Like I ain't gonna roll around on the ground with somebody in a street fight. Like, but I'm like, let me check it out.
You get in a street fight. Oh, can we go on the ground or roll? Right,
can you come in my clothes guard and just let me wrap my legs around you real quick, dog? You know. But I start watching videos, and I'm like, you know what? I think I could hurt somebody with this. You know. So I started talking to my wife about it. Well, she goes to Scotty's gym here in Thibodeau, next gen, and signs me up for a month. And like on my birthday, she gives me the membership.
Yeah.
And so it was my 33rd birthday. I always remember that because that's how old Jesus was when he died. I was like 33 is when I started, you know. So I started going, bro, when I tell you, I walked in the door, I met Scotty, we shook hands, and he gave me a gi, and I was like, I'm going all the way to black. I told myself that while I was talking to him. And I just started, dude, and I started training consistently. They would do 2 classes. Him and Shane were doing one, Scotty, one Shane, and they did that twice, and I would go to both classes. So I would go to 4 classes a week. And so I'm saying that, so I got into martial arts, but here's what happened, man. I started rubbing shoulders with good men. And I didn't know, I knew intellectually, I didn't know in my heart that there's good men in this world. And I was like, man, this guy, like one guy said, every time I get mad at my wife and I walk out the door, I always turn around and say, I love you before I leave, because I want her to know if something happens to me, that I loved her. That was the last thing I said to her. And I'm like, that's a good husband. That's deep. You know? And then, man, I just started developing friendships. And I remember my wife put on the thing that I was joining for community, and I was like, baby, I ain't going for no friends. I was like, you should have put self-defense on there. That's it. Bro, I'll tell you, dude, like, self-defense is, you know, in my book, is a walk away if you can't walk away, jog away if you can't jog away, run away.
There's anything I've learned in the past 3 weeks of filming is to walk away from a fight.
Yeah, dude.
I've learned that from 2 people going now 3.
Okay, yeah, dude, like, you know, and truthfully, man,
it's true.
Bro, most people, if you think about it, I mean, within reason, they can't force you to strike. So that's where grappling comes into play. It's like, if they grab you, now you got an issue. And
it's always like, someone might talk kind of loud, but like, they're hoping in the back of your mind, probably like, I hope he doesn't swing low key. For real. I've been running my mouth, now I gotta,
you know. And so run away or get you 90% there, and then, you know, you always hear the martial artists arguing over which art's the best. You know? Say, so if a kung fu guy walks into a bar, blah blah blah. If a boxer walks into a bar, blah blah blah. I was like, hey man, here's the best martial art. Don't go to the bar. So, but look, man, I'm being goofy right now, but real talk. 2, 3, 4 here, big, massive takeaways is, number 1, you remember I told you about the fetal position? About 2-3 months after I got my blue belt, so this would have been 2 years and 2-3 months after training, I was talking with Scotty one day. He said, you know why I belted you? And I was like, no. He said, I didn't care that you were still getting tapped by the white belts. That ain't what it's about. And he said, ever since you've been training, when you get on the bottom, you cuddle up in a fetal position. And he said, one day I saw somebody had gotten on top of you, and instead of doing that, you actually started defending yourself, and you felt that you were worthy enough to defend yourself from that. And he's like, that's why I knew you was ready. And I was like, what? That's why I got my first belt? My second belt? I'm like that was mind-boggling to me. But I didn't know I was fighting my trauma on the mats. I didn't even understand that. So that started like shaping me. And then anytime I would have a house project, so I gotta fix a light bulb or a leaky faucet, I would spiral, dude. I would be like, I gotta look, well, yeah, but in the sense of I don't know how to fix it. My dad didn't teach me this. Now I got to look on YouTube. Okay, if I'd have had a dad, I wouldn't have to look on YouTube. Bruh, I really got into my head about this. It's like I would be bawling, crying, grown man in my 30s, crying because I can't figure out how to fix a leaky sink. But it's not about the sink. It's about that I didn't have a dad. And so something about jiu-jitsu is, when you first start, you're going to memorize a bunch of techniques and all and try. Man, if you have to memorize jiu-jitsu, it's because you don't understand it. If you understand jiu-jitsu, you don't memorize it. You start learning to think in principles and concepts, and you just see where their body is and where yours could be at a better advantage, and just you take the advantage. You problem solve. Bruh, I remember I was trying to get a house, and the bank said I had to clear all this massive debris off of the top of shed. It was full of wasp nests and everything, and I'm scared of heights. And I was like, all right. I just put the ladder up, climbed on top of the shed, grabbed all the stuff, and just ripped it off. I went skydiving. I was like, I know how I'm going to jump off the plane. I ain't going to think about it. I'm just going to do it. Like, I started seeing that I began to problem solve with confidence things I don't know how to do because I've been grappling for so many years with such good men. I'm saying that to say God led me to Scotty, into Next Gen, into that group of men, and that just began to imprint on me.
That community.
Yes. And it taught me to see the world in a different way. And I'm on that journey. But all these 50 times I tried to do martial arts since I've been 5, and it never worked out. And then one day I just walk into a gym and it's like, hey, my name's Aaron. He's like, my name's Scotty. And we've been friends ever since. And like, we're 5 years past that mark, and I'm consistently there. And like that was a God thing. Like, there's a reason that I'm there with these guys, right? So my whole life is different because of jiu-jitsu. It was a God moment that led me to that. So that's where I'm saying, like, God imprints on our lives, and he impacts our lives, and we don't understand or realize in the moments. But it's not just, because I prayed and I got an encouraging word. That's a part of it. But the steps of a righteous man are ordered of the Lord. So like, you're in your degree program, not because you just happen to be in that program. There's a calling on you, bro. There's a purpose on you. God sees these people in sports and the different areas that you're going to combine your expertise, and like he's strategizing and placing you in this, and it's unfolding. You're going to live your life and to the glory of God, and like look back and be like, wow, like I enjoyed life, and this is amazing. Because you just follow where God is leading you as he's taking you there.
I think a lot of it is about the surrendering. So that hands up, like once you hands up and realize, like, look, you can't control things. God already done it. My roommate recommended this really good book to me. It's called You've Already Got It, So Quit Trying to Receive It.
What?
You read it?
No, but I like it. I'm doing a video just on that title. I don't even know what it's about, but I'm gonna drop one.
I'll send you a picture of it. It's
Please
a good
do.
book. And like, it just kind of gave me a different shift. I'm like, wow, like, because you're always like asking for things or asking to receive this or that, when in reality, God's already done everything for you. You just have to receive it. Like, you just have to go out there and really do it. Like, it's there for you. You just gotta, like, the analogy they gave is, so the lights, if I go turn that off, the power is already running. We paid the bill. Regardless, like, it's waiting there. All I have to do is turn on the light. And so, like, it gives, like, through messages like that, and it's helped me understand a lot of things in a different light lately, for sure.
Absolutely.
But my next question for you is, what would be your advice, to anyone maybe who's in a tough spot in their relationship with the God, or who, maybe it's not where they want to be? What would be your advice?
Man, there's a lot of facets to that question without context. I don't know, what the situation is as to why they are struggling in that regard. Something that comes to mind, though, fasting is the most underrated weapon in the Christian arsenal. if you start fasting, so let's say you take a day a week, 24 hours, and you just do a water fast every week, set aside that time, and I'm going to submit my flesh, I'm going to deny myself this, and you do that for 6 months. Then say you skip 3 or 4 weeks, you go a month without doing it. You are going to feel way different with God. You're going to feel like it's harder to pray. You're going to notice your carnality. You're going to feel like more prideful. Like whatever you deal with, you're going to see it. If you struggle with lust, you're going to struggle more during that month. You'll feel it. You don't feel it if you don't fast because you don't know what you're missing. Mm-hmm. So the principle, if you remember when the disciples said, hey, we tried to cast these spirits out, we weren't able to. Why? And Jesus said, well, this kind comes only by prayer and fasting. And what's interesting is Jesus did not pray and he did not fast when he cast the spirit out in that moment. But he had a lifestyle of prayer and fasting back in him that was behind his ministry. And so when I get to a place where I feel like I don't know how to break through, I feel stuck, I'm not really certain, I go to my fasting life. That's the extra oomph. That's the okay, prayer's not working. I don't have a good word from God right now. I don't have direction. When I fast, okay, now things start opening. It's what gives me the answer to that question, because the answer to that question varies. And so everybody's struggling for a different reason. But when you start fasting, the whole point is to get yourself out of the way.
Right.
The word of God amplifies God's voice in your life. I'm sorry, a big thing about the word of God also, it says it's an attack against the enemy. Jesus used the word when he was fighting in the wilderness with the devil. So it silences the voice of the enemy. Prayer is you connecting with God and learning to hear God's voice, but you have another voice in the mix, and that's yours. Mm-hmm. Fasting takes that voice and says, hey, calm down. Let's listen to what God's saying. And so it gives you clarity to find the answer to that question for yourself, because without context, I have no idea what that question would be.
Yeah.
The answer.
No, that's great. And I've never really thought about it like that, especially the fasting. I did not know that.
You ever mess around with it?
I'm not going to lie, no. I've never tried a water fast.
Really?
No.
And by water, I mean drinking water.
Yeah.
Anything else.
No.
Yeah, and I drink my black coffee on my water fast. Yeah. Because this water, it just got coffee flavor on it. Now, I don't want no headache from no caffeine, but yeah, dude, knock it out for a day,
something bro. I would maybe try, yeah.
Oh, bro, it'll take you to a new place in God, man. And physically, there's all kind of crazy benefits coming out about that.
Yeah. But I think we talked about some great stuff.
Me too, bro.
I really enjoyed this. Before I even get into my last question, I feel like we should definitely do this again, for sure.
Man, I'll pull out my schedule. I'm looking forward to it, dude.
Yeah. But my question that I always ask, and you've seen the 3 episodes, so you should probably know. Aaron, why do you enjoy life?
Because I choose to.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
I love that. That's the most simple but true answer I've ever heard. You have to choose to enjoy life. Because if not, what are you doing?
You're looking at external reasons why you have a right to enjoy it, or why you have the right not to. That's what you're doing when you're not choosing it. Happiness is a choice. So I enjoy it because I choose to. I'm here and I'm going to make the most of it. It's a choice.
I love that. And before we get going, I just want to say once again, thank you for your time.
Dude.
This time is very valuable, and hearing your story was great. Ty kind of mentioned to me that you kind of had a little rough upbringing, but just to truly hear that and see what you have turned that to is amazing. Through preaching, through writing books, and working with your wife to be that coach and change other people's lives. That's awesome. And I'm excited that we got to have this conversation.
I am too, man. Thank you for having me on. And
no
thank
problem.
you to all the viewers and stuff. I appreciate y'all letting us share this moment with you, and look forward to connecting again.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to do this again for sure. There's no doubt about that. And we're in Thibodeau, so
that's it, man.
Yeah, not homo.
Since you already went through the 5 people you had in Thibodeau when you first started, you know, we can double up now.
Yeah, we can double up. But guys, we're gonna wrap this episode up. Don't forget to donate to the toy drive, and keep on enjoying life. And I hope y'all got something out of this episode. Love each and every one of y'all, but we're out.